Hello everyone and welcome to the video review of Leader Class Combiner Wars Megatron, one of the latest Transformers that Hasbro's put out that is in extremely high demand by collectors. Very fortunate to have picked one up at my local Toys R Us just a few days ago. So yes, they are hitting shelves, so definitely keep your eyes peeled, but I know they are also starting to come in stock to a lot of the web stores like Big Bad Toy Store, TF Source, and ages 3 and up, so keep your eyes peeled for those. Anyway, just want to go over a couple of quick things. I know that there's been lots of other reviews of this guy done already, but there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention that haven't really been touched on that might give you extra reason to go out and try and find this guy. First off, very, very happy with this figure. Hasbro did a great job of taking the G1 style Megatron and updating it for the modern Transformers line. Having Megatron in a tank mode, alt mode, certainly makes a lot more sense from just sort of a practicality standpoint of having the leader of the Decepticons not dependent on one of his minions to carry him around when he's transformed, and certainly gives his mass and his size a lot more coordination between his alt mode and his bot mode. So I, for one, certainly support the fact that they've made Megatron a big beastie tank. Certainly reflects on his tough, destructive nature. So I definitely appreciate the fact that they've given us a really nice tank Megatron. Packaging, as you can see here, very nice, easy to spot on the shelves. People have looked at these already on their video reviews, so I'll just give you a quick scan of that. Then I'll move on. There's the packaging. The figure itself, definitely a great leader class figure. I love the colors. I love the proportions. His legs are a little skinny, as you can see. A little bit skinny, but not too bad. I mean, would they, make a lot more sense if they were a little bit beefier? For sure. Also, the one thing that I noticed when looking at this guy up close is that his chest is a little bit narrow. It would be nice if his chest was a little bit wider. Certainly something that Hasbro could have done by making the tank mode a little bit wider, and it wouldn't have impacted that too much, just to give Megatron a little bit more of a broad shoulder kind of thing, because he does look, when you look at him head on, in his basic stance there, you can see he does look a little bit narrow in the chest and through to the legs, but certainly not a deal breaker given the fact that this figure is anywhere from between $50 and $60 depending on where you got it. I got it for $59.99 at Toys R Us here in Canada, so certainly a reasonable price for a big beefy Megatron. Couple things that I want to point out specifically is I have done some minor custom paint additions to this guy. There were a couple things that were glaringly obvious out of the package that I absolutely had to fix right away. One of which is these little front pieces on his legs here. They come out of the package a very dull, dingy gray, which, granted it's not terrible, but given the fact that the entire rest of the figure is painted this gorgeous silver, it stuck out to me, and I'm like, why wouldn't they just slap some silver paint on there? It's not a rub point or anything like that, so I just took some flat silver paint with a brush, threw it on there quick, and certainly makes his legs look a little bit shinier and a little bit more complete. Another thing that I did that I want to call out for you is, it's going to be tough to see, but Megatron's neck, where his neck, his head joins his body there, that was originally red plastic, and it definitely stuck out. So I popped his head off. It's just on a little post there. You can pop it off easy. Again, a little bit of flat silver paint and cleaned it up. The other thing that you'll notice, you may have noticed right away, is that these hinges here and this bar here are no longer that red plastic. I didn't like it. I wanted his whole chest area to be silver, so I just painted those up as well, and in my opinion, gives the figure a much more complete look that he needed. A couple of small paint apps that needed to be done, but overall I think they add a little bit of extra stuff to it. One other thing that I've discovered that I want to go over that I think adds a lot of improvement to how the figure looks when you've posed him is the treads on the back. Now, the treads on the back, as you can see, just kind of stick out there. They don't look really great. They basically say, well, we don't really have any other place to put these, so we'll just fold them up and put them on his back. So yeah, his tank treads, which really, should be folded in a lot better than that. I have come up with a couple of different alternatives if you're looking for a better way to position them that doesn't make them quite stick out so badly. The first one is pretty obvious, and that's just take them, separate them at the back, and then fold them out. And then, they are hidden a little bit by his arms there, which adds a little bit of better view of Megatron. Now, granted, the wings at the back here are, not the greatest, but depends on whether or not you want those tank treads sticking right in behind his head, which most of the time I don't. The other thing that I have found, and this is a little bit more, a little bit trickier than that, but if you take his tank treads, and you can kind of see, if I move them out of the way here, there's this piece right here, this molded piece, and that's actually what hits those hinges there and keeps it from collapsing all the way. But I have discovered that if you bend it out a little teeny tiny bit, flex it out, there is just enough play in those joints that you can get it to slide down like that, and it actually collapses much better in to Megatron's back than it does in the standard sort of way there. Do that to the other side too, and then you can have them on his back just regularly like that, or the better way that I have found is you can actually angle these in just a little bit to close in his back a little bit more, and then as you can see, they stick not quite far out of his back. You no longer see them right behind his head when he's in robot mode, and in my opinion, that is a much better looking Megatron because you don't see his treads as much. Now, granted, the idea of bending any joints on a Transformer makes me a little nervous, but the plastic they put there and the fact that it's a double joint with the two pieces of hinge there make me a little bit more comfortable doing it. I'm sure that you could probably, if you wanted to, just take that little piece of plastic there and shave it down somehow so that there isn't as much of a bend necessary to get that to collapse all the way. Doing that would not impact any of the transformation or any of the appearance in either mode, which makes me wonder why they even put that in there, and they should have just had that as a flat piece that it would collapse all the way, but they must have a reason for doing it. But anyway, so yeah, I would just collapse that down a little bit further, and it gives me a nice, clean, well tucked in set of treads at the back, and allows me to pose them the way I want. So to go through transformation, it's a very simple and but still pretty fun transformation on this guy, and not overly complicated. So in order to start, first off, just take his little guns off, extra accessories there, set that to the side. And the first thing you're going to want to do is straighten his legs out, arms too, straighten them out, make sure his fists are straight, collapse this little bit in. There we go. Same thing on the other side here. Straighten his fist out, straighten his arm out, collapse the little hinge to hide his fist. His cannon you can just kind of keep up there off to the side. Make sure his legs are lined up. Then turn his head around. I always find it easier to turn his head around right now. Lift up on his chest plate. You'll see that it separates right in here. Just pull that up. Slide it down or up into the front. And you'll see that becomes the front part of his tank. At this point you can fold his arms up like this to put them out of the way. Fold his cannon in. And then there are tabs. You can see there's one there, one down here, and they just slide into the tabs on the cannon. You can see his turret is now built. Slide the top part of his, or front part of his treads up all the way forward, move it around, and you'll see there's a little tab right there. Slots into there, just pop it in. Same thing on the other tread, just put it around like so. There we go, and there's the front half of his tank pretty much done. Legs are even easier. Take his foot, collapse it in like that. Do the same thing with the other one. His leg breaks or splits in half and then kind of folds in like so, and you'll see there's a little slot right there, a little tab on his leg right there that fit into each other like that, just like that. Same thing on the other one. Slide it around, finagle it in there, and pop it in. Last but not least, you'll want to take his little crotch piece here, fold it forward, and then it just kind of tucks in between the rest of his legs right in there, just like that. Now you can plop his tank turret back down, pull out the barrel, and there you have Megatron. Has a beautiful silver tank, which, as you can see, looks absolutely great. Very, very nice representation of a tank Megatron. His extra little gun bits, you can either join them together, which if you really want to, then you can, and you can have it sticking off the one side, which it's not really designed for. They're designed to be separate pieces. I guess this is supposed to be some kind of a cannon or a viewfinder or something like that. It goes on the one side, and then his little turret-mounted machine gun goes on the other, just like so. His tank turret does rotate a full 360 degrees, as you can see, and it is indexed. And then his little barrel cannon does shoot pretty good. So, yeah, all in all, a very, very nice Megatron figure. I definitely understand why it was so well received and so in demand. It is absolutely a perfect incarnation of Megatron as a tank in G1 colors, in a decent size, that can fit with a lot of different lines. So I'm definitely very happy to have him in my collection. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, thanks very much for tuning in. Talk to you later.